Hello and welcome to another indie game review here for the Sanitarium.FM, a gamer radio station on the YouTube channel. I am the predicted Cyborg, and the game we are reviewing today is a little indie adventure strategy game called Beasts Battle, and it was developed and published by the same studio, Renal Studio. Now, what happens is you take the role of a hero directing an army of animal-esque beast warriors to fight against other opponents on a battlefield. The battlefield is a sort of top-down arena made up of several hex tiles in which you can move your characters around to get them into range of your enemies. Now, you add new warriors and stuff to your army through buying them through gold and then putting them in. You can buy a certain amount of soldiers at once, and that sort of varies based on what sort of soldier or species they are, and then place them in. You can also spend gold to top up ranks that have maybe thinned out a little bit, because as you fight, then each one of these particular tiles will stand for a certain amount of one type of troop. You can choose to split these numbers between two tiles if you want to spread out your troops, but that does mean that they're going to have less punching power and less strength, as opposed to if you had actually kept them all in one tile in one area. And in this is kind of where the strategy comes in, because you need to position certain troops, like some will have melee, some will have ranged attacks. You need to position them in a place that's going to be able to give them enough reach for particular enemies you need to take out first, or maybe with the ranged one to give them enough space so that they can still attack without being caught in melee range. And you also want to ask yourself, do I want to split the stack of soldiers so I can get in two attacks, which are a bit weaker, or do I want to keep them all in one troop and have a stronger hit but only have the one attack? It's something that you need to consider like per turn. As you progress through the game and complete levels, you will actually unlock new beast soldiers to add to your army. Each of these soldiers will have different abilities, but as I said, if you haven't earned enough gold, you will not be able to put them into your army, and there are a certain amount of slots for different types of creatures you can get. Like, you can choose to grab 2 turtles as opposed to one of every other different creature that you might have at that moment. It depends whether or not you prioritize melee over ranged or magic or whatever the heck you prefer to use. The first type of creature you will start off with are the turtles, who are a bit slow but punch very hard, and then you gain the bull, who has a ranged attack with throwing axes, and it just develops from there. Now, this game can be a little bit hard. Fortunately, you can keep plugging away at certain levels, but unfortunately the gold you spend will always kind of be a little bit wasted. If you go into a battle having spent a load of gold and your army's completely wiped out, then you're probably not going to have a lot of gold to rebuild up your army, so keep that in mind. The input for this game is very simple. This is a mobile port game, so you basically click to where you want troops to move or where you want them to attack, and so on and so forth. There's really not that much complicated input to it. And neither would you really expect there to be if this is a game that was originally made for mobile. So how do I find this as a game? Beasts Battle is, it's alright, it's quite a nice game. The visuals are well done. The game is pretty damn easy to understand. It does actually sort of give you like little pointers and everything. Although sometimes it can be a little bit confusing to try and figure out how far a creature can move before they can't move anymore, but that's just more trial and error, and you learn in the end. One other thing I am going to say is that, the art direction in this game kind of confused me a little bit. This is a beast battle, and these are supposed to be individual animals, but until you read what animal they're meant to be on their description, then you really don't actually know what they're supposed to be. I mean, I guess the turtle kind of looks a little bit like a humanoid turtle, but the bull certainly doesn't look like a bull. That's not so much really a complaint, it's just a little bit of a comment, and I don't know, interesting art style, I think. The only one thing I do have a little bit to complain about is, as I said, if you go into a battle having spent a lot of money and then lose, then you've kind of lost all that money. It's kind of a little bit of a waste. So you need to kind of go back and do things. I certainly find this game a bit harder to understand and get into than, say, Forge of Gods, which is another sort of strategy, top-down, tile-based, army-building game that I have reviewed, which is also kind of a mobile port. One other thing that I have to say is Beast Battle, there doesn't really seem to be too much to it, really. You go along, you unlock creatures, you put them into your army, you find a combination that works, and you just keep bashing through the level until you progress. It really is all there is to it. Now, don't get me wrong, this game, as I said, it's a mobile port and it is very cheap. It only costs £1.59 on the UK store and only $1.99 on the US store. So, you know, if you're looking for a cheap little strategy action-y game that's gonna eat up a little bit of time for you, something that you can work towards completing a challenge with, then this might be a good game for you. Just don't go into it expecting more than what it is, which is a cheap little strategy game that you can buy for a small amount of money and play when you have a few minutes to game, because this is not going to be a game that's going to take up a lot of time, so it's good for if you only have like an hour or something to game per day. And so that does it for another indie game review here on the Sanitarium.FM YouTube channel. I have been the Predicted Cyborg, reviewing Beast Battle by Greenlaw Studio. Remember, stay tuned to this YouTube channel for more news reviews, more of the same. Join us on our website at www.sanitarium.fm for radio shows and articles, and find us in our Discord if you want to come and join in the fun. I'm the Predicted Cyborg, and until the next review, I'll see you next time.